What's going on, everybody? This is dkdynamite, and tonight we're going to be talking about Season 2 weaponry and what we should be able to expect by the end of this month. Definitely stay tuned. But before we jump into that, I just want to ask you guys, what weapons are you looking for the most within Black Ops 6 and Warzone? I've seen plenty of suggestions asking for the 1911, the Peacekeeper, and plenty of other fan-favorite weapons that we've seen in almost every Black Ops game now. Leave all your best comments down below. But with that being said, I would also love to see some blueprints that do resemble older weapons and almost give you the same iron sights that we saw on some older weapons. I'm referring specifically to some of the prestige rewards we have in Black Ops 6 right now, like the SDG or even the VNP. Those are blueprints for existing weapons in the game and essentially brings those weapons back just under the disguise of a blueprint for other powerful and viable weapons. I'm not saying that they should do that with all classic weapons in Black Ops 6, but I think in the case where Treyarch wants to bring back classic weapons but doesn't really have a chance to, because let's say there's already plenty of DLC weapons planned for certain seasons, maybe they could introduce free events or free unlocks where you can get certain blueprints that bring back some fan favorite weaponry. Now, is it possible that a system like that also gets introduced through bundles in the future? I honestly wouldn't be surprised, but over in the map Vault here in multiplayer, you can actually get a preview of 2 snipers, or I guess you could say 2 marksman rifles that are just sitting there in glass cases. The Swiss, which we just saw in Cold War not too long ago, and also the Kar 98K, which has been seen in several Modern Warfare titles now. Well, the Kar 98K also has some history from Call of Duty World at War over a decade ago. Is it possible these weapons are returning at some point in the future? I wouldn't really rule it out, although it probably is a simple case of reuse assets just to kind of put something in these weapon cases on random multiplayer maps. But you never know, it could be Treyarch being Treyarch and actually teasing some weaponry that we are going to see at some point in a future season. Never say never. But I should remember that the Kar 98 is already in Warzone technically because of Modern Warfare, so in the case of them adding in it again, then we would have multiple Kar 98s through Warzone because Black Ops 6 could add another one. So we'll move on from that idea for a second, but I also want to address weapon unlocks. How are you guys feeling about being able to unlock DLC weapons through events? It isn't something that we really saw with Modern Warfare, but is something that we did get over in Cold War. Obviously, the past few challenge events for Black Ops 6 did offer a couple of different weapons. I mean, the power drill is fun as a melee, but the Maelstrom shotgun obviously wasn't well received. It's really not great to use in any mode, to be honest with you. So I think if we're going to be seeing ranged weaponry through challenge events, let's hope that those weapons are at least somewhat viable and are worth our while as we grind certain XP or certain challenge milestones to unlock whatever that weapon is. I also wouldn't mind if they just had melee weapons through events and then had a different system for us to unlock ranged weapons apart from the Battle Pass. We're not going to get weekly challenges back in BO6, unfortunately, but we have the armory system, which works now, so I wouldn't mind if we had to hit a certain XP milestone or complete a specific weapon challenge to get a new ranged item. I really wouldn't be opposed to that because we've seen that before in the past, where some weapons could be added into a game like Cold War and there's just a simple challenge you have to do to just get instant access to it. Something that I know I criticized with the hit list event especially was that the Sarin 9mm was locked behind community milestones. I really prefer if we don't see ranged weapons behind community milestones because it just becomes a big waiting game to where the hype almost gets diminished for that weapon, since the weapon wouldn't end up dropping for a couple of weeks, and then I think by the point it actually comes out, there would already be a bundle that people probably would have bought instead that features a blueprint so that folks can get early access to that weapon. Hopefully we don't see a weapon released like that again in BO6. But Black Ops 6 also introduced a new version of the quote-unquote aftermarket part system that we had in MW3. Although we aren't seeing full-on conversion kits, we're getting these conversion type attachments which still do change how the weapon can fire. We got the XM4 3-round burst mod, which effectively gives you an M16 here in BO6. I've loved using this and I've gotten plenty of nukes with it, as you guys may have seen on stream. We also got the 3-round burst attachment for the compact 92 SMG, which also is pretty solid in just about any game mode that you're in. We also saw the buffer stock, which I think has been used in several different meta loadouts. Not one that's too noticeable as far as the differences when you actually equip the attachment, but we also got the Dragon's Breath shotgun attachment via the Season 1 Battle Pass, so I'd expect some other attachment mods or features like that to be incorporated within Season 2, whether it's the Battle Pass or upcoming challenge events that will offer rewards like that. And these these are kind of sleeper attachments that you don't see too much discussion on when these attachments do release, but I think if they release these attachments and give them a bit more spotlight through some actual popular events. I know Hit List wasn't that well received. We know that the Merry Mayhem event also was a little lackluster, but the rewards weren't bad. It was just that it was a very busy day with Citadel Day More and the Reloaded update, so some folks probably weren't paying all that much attention, but these attachments could be fairly damn powerful and would highly recommend trying them out whenever they do release. I'd also expect more of these on the Season 2 roadmap. But if you guys remember, back before Season 1 released, a number of different DLC weapons did leak out. Again, keep in mind, as a disclaimer, these could be weapons that were planned for launch or even planned for Season 1 that ended up getting canceled, or these weapons may have been pushed back to a later title update. I do want to say some of these weapons probably are going to pop up in Season 2, because if they don't, it'll be pretty shocking that such a large number of weapons, 11 to be exact, have leaked out that may not even be for Season 2, which just goes to show how far ahead some of the people at the studio may be when it comes to weaponry and other content. So as far as these weapons go, we first up have the 5.7 pistol. Obviously, we don't have too many pistols available in BO6, and the 5.7 was a pretty fun one to use back during a game like Black Ops 2. Also, bear in mind, it is totally possible some weapons do leak out this year, which aren't even for BO6, but could be for the rumored futuristic Black Ops 7, but the weapon itself has probably been around for a while. Now, we then have the M72 Law. This is a launcher, and I'm not opposed to seeing other launchers added throughout the life cycle of Black Ops 6. I just remember back to a game like BO3, which added in the L4 Siege that ended up being really fun to use. There's been some cool launchers added in the past, so I'm not opposed to some extra ones, especially if you're trying to go for Dark Matter or whatever other camo, whether it's Nebula or Abyss. Maybe you're not a fan of the launchers that are currently available and you want to use a different one. This one could be added in at some point. We then have the FAL. This is obviously a fan favorite from several different Call of Duty titles. We've seen this weapon in multiple Black Ops games, and even in Modern Warfare, it's a weapon that still gets used to this day, and is honestly a nice heavy hitter no matter what mode that you're playing. It's a semi-auto rifle, but I'm sure when you bundle it with other attachments, this could end up being one of the more powerful marksman rifles available inside of Black Ops 6. But you guys can also have zombies in the back of your mind if you're a player that jumps into round-based. Some of these weapons I'm mentioning were really fun when pack-a-punched in older Treyarch titles, so also imagine that when I'm going over some of these weapons here. But we then have the SAR-80. This is an assault rifle that I don't believe has been seen in Call of Duty before. Please correct me down below if I'm mistaken on that. I know Black Ops 6 had a goal, which honestly was pretty well achieved at launch, which is to include several weapons that we've never seen in other COD titles before. Black Ops 6 launched with quite a few original weapons, so I would also expect some other original ones to release throughout the DLC season. But then wrapping up here with ranged weapons, we have the Pellington. The Pellington is a sniper that we saw not that long ago in Cold War. I think it was probably one of the more well-received snipers in that game, and probably the most used one, if anything, so wouldn't be shocked to see this one also come back at some point in a future season. But then moving on to melee weapons, obviously Black Ops 6 offers a dedicated melee slot, which you can also use in Zombies and Warzone, so I'm not really shocked that we're probably going to end up seeing a good maybe 2-3 new melee weapons every single season. There's a nice set of them leaked out, which could be for Season 2 considering how all of them are already leaked out, but it does sound like a lot of these melee weapons are going to be dropped at around the same time, and I'll explain why. So we have the Ice Pick, which is one that we've seen in previous CODs, but we then have the Katana, Size, a Skateboard, bow staff, and even the nunchucks. Now, the Ice Pick could be a melee weapon that comes out really at any time based on the theme of the season. If there's like a cold or snowy type of theme season, then maybe that's when you can expect that one. But the other melees I mentioned, right, the Katana, Size, Skateboard, bow staff, nunchucks, those all sound like they'd be a part of a TMNT collaboration, which funny enough has already been rumored for a game like Black Ops 6. So I guess it's a big question of how they would release that many melees at once. You'd obviously expect a lot of those, or skins for some of those, in various turtle themed bundles. So I guess they would also end up releasing some type of challenge event where you can earn all these melee weapons by doing specific tasks in the game. Then if you don't want to do those, then you could just buy bundles presumably that feature the turtles and those operator skins that would come with their respective melee weapons. Now, if you're curious how these weapons will be released, like I said earlier in the video, I would like to see some other methods in which we can unlock ranged weapons weaponry. I like the idea of seeing weapons in events, but the way Black Ops 6 events have been handled thus far, I don't think really shed much spotlight on the weapons that were available in challenge events. So you can obviously expect at least 2 ranged weapons in the Battle Pass, then at least another 2 or 3 through events in Season 2, unless they want to introduce a different system or maybe utilize the armory to drop additional weaponry that we just didn't expect. If that is about it, this has been dkdynamite. Leave our thoughts down below in the comment section. What are your thoughts on some ranged weaponry that may be dropping in Season 2 of Black Ops 6? We're obviously not far away from some marketing for this season, which I'm really excited about. Leave all your thoughts down below on which weapons you guys want to see. Really hope you've enjoyed, and peace out, everybody.